Linda couldn't sleep. Every month, the property tax bill felt a little heavier. She kept asking herself the same question: am I paying to stay or paying because I'm afraid to leave? Across town, Mike had the opposite problem. His house was paid off, but every room reminded him of children who didn't live there anymore. Here's what neither of them knows yet. One of them will regret selling, the other will regret staying. Neither of them knows which one they are yet. By the end of this video, you'll know 4 people who face this exact decision. Their names are Linda, Susan, Mike, and Robert. 2 of them sold. 2 of them didn't. All 4 of them thought they knew the answer before they started. All 4 of them were wrong about something. Stick around, because somewhere in the next 12 minutes, you're probably going to recognize yourself. Meet Linda. She had lived in her house for 31 years. At first, selling looked like the obvious answer. The market in her area was hot. Her neighbor's identical house had just sold for more than Linda ever imagined hers was worth. So she did what a lot of people do. She toured 3 condos, and something surprised her. She assumed downsizing would automatically save her money. It didn't. Between the HOA fees, the higher price per square foot for something newer, and losing the 3% mortgage rate she'd locked in years ago, Linda sat down with an advisor and found her monthly costs in the condo would actually be higher than staying exactly where she was. I never realized a smaller home could cost more. Here's the twist almost nobody expects. Sometimes selling doesn't solve financial stress. It just moves it somewhere else, in a smaller box with a homeowners association fee attached. The real question Linda's advisor made her ask wasn't, "What will I get for my house?" It was, "What will it actually cost me to live somewhere else?" That means checking the capital gains picture. Currently, a $250,000 exemption if you're single, $500,000 if you're married, with anything above that potentially taxable depending on income. It means checking whether selling could quietly bump you into a higher tax bracket. And it means asking whether a reverse mortgage or a HELOC could hand you the freedom you actually want without selling at all. Linda didn't have her answer yet, but money wasn't Susan's biggest concern. Susan feared something much harder to calculate. Meet Susan. She had ignored the stairs for years. She told herself it was just part of getting older, a little slower each morning, a little more careful each night. Then one ordinary Tuesday changed everything. Nothing dramatic happened, no hospital stay, just a moment. On the 3rd step from the bottom where her foot didn't quite land right, and for half a second, she pictured exactly how much worse it could have been. She sat on those stairs for a long time afterward. She said, "I never realized staying could become the risk." Here's the part almost nobody says out loud. It's rarely one big health event that makes the decision for people. It's a small warning, a fall, a knee that suddenly won't cooperate, one moment of what if no one had been home, that quietly changes everything. The biggest risk was never today's health. It was tomorrow's. The question Susan finally had to sit with wasn't, "Is my house too big?" It was, "If my health changes 6 months from now, will this house still let me live safely? And will I still want it to?" That's not a checklist question. It doesn't have a clean answer. But Susan wasn't just thinking about her stairs anymore. She was thinking about her family. And so was Mike. Mike imagined that if he moved, everything would basically stay the same. Sunday dinners, the same grandkids running through different rooms. Then he actually looked at the map. The retirement community he liked was 30 miles away. 30 miles doesn't sound like much. Until every Sunday quietly becomes once a month, if we're lucky. I never realized moving closer to family doesn't guarantee seeing them more. Here's the twist. Relationships aren't measured in miles. More than a few retirees have packed up their entire lives to be near their kids, only to watch those same kids relocate again within a couple of years. For a new job, a new opportunity, a new life none of us can predict. That's not a reason to never move for family. It's a reason to ask a sharper question than will I be near them? Will this move actually change how often I see the people I love? Or am I buying a feeling, not a guarantee? Mike didn't have a clean answer. But the house he was thinking about wasn't the only thing on the line. So was every dollar Robert had already spent trying to get ready. Robert spent $48,000 remodeling his kitchen before he'd even decided to sell. The realtor walked in, smiled, and said, "I wish you hadn't done that." Robert had renovated the kitchen for himself, not for a buyer. And buyers, it turns out, rarely pay extra for someone else's taste. According to him, he said he never realized spending $50,000 could lower my return. What actually sells a home like Robert's isn't a $48,000 remodel. It's usually something much smaller. A deep, clean, fresh, neutral paint, updated lighting, new cabinet hardware if there wasn't any before. That's most of the list. Full kitchen and bathroom remodels, moving walls, chasing trends to make a 50-year-old house look like a magazine spread. None of it reliably pays for itself. It just delays the decision while draining the account meant to fund it. Robert never got that money back. He waited 3 more years to sell, partly to recover financially, partly because the mistake shook something deeper than his bank account. It shook his confidence in the whole decision. Then do you notice something? Everyone in this story has been talking about money. But money was never the whole story for any of them. There's the neighbor who checks on you without being asked. The pharmacist who knows your name before you say it. Your seat at church, third pew, same side every week for 20 years. The walking route where the same 3 dogs bark at you every morning, and somehow you'd miss that. The coffee shop where they start making your order before you reach the counter. The doctor who's known your whole medical history since before your kids left home. The maple tree in the backyard that your children climbed, now taller than the house itself. None of that shows up on a balance sheet. But losing it can matter more than saving $300 a month. That's not something a spreadsheet can measure. It's something only you can weigh. By now, you've probably recognized yourself in one of these 4 people, so let's finish their stories, and yours. Linda stayed. Once she compared her actual future monthly costs instead of just her home sale price, the math made the decision for her. The fear quietly went away, because it was never really about the house. It was about not knowing the number. Susan moved, not because her house was too big today, but because she was honest with herself about whether it would still support her independence 5 years from now. She moved early, on her own terms, before a fall made the decision for her. Mike downsized, but not 30 miles away. He found something 12 minutes from his daughter instead of 45, because once he saw the real distance on a map, near family stopped being a feeling and became a number he could actually check. Robert waited. 3 years, 1 expensive lesson, and a slower, more careful decision the second time around. Selling only after confirming which upgrades actually mattered and skipping the ones that didn't. 4 different people, 4 different decisions. None of them were right, until they became right for the people making them. If Linda's story sounded like yours, your next step isn't checking your home's value. It's comparing your actual future monthly living costs against what you're paying right now. If Susan's story felt familiar, ask whether your home will still support your independence 5 years from now, not just today. If Mike's concerns matched yours, talk to your family honestly about how often you'll realistically see each other after a move, not how often you hope to. If Robert's story hit close to home, don't spend $1 preparing to sell until you've confirmed the upgrade actually serves a buyer, not just your own taste. Because here's the truth underneath everything you just watched. The biggest retirement mistake was never selling your home, and it was never staying either. It's making either decision without understanding what you're actually trying to protect. So before you call an agent or a mover or your kids to talk it through, ask yourself the question underneath the question. What am I really afraid of losing? And is moving or staying actually the thing that protects it? Tell us in the comments. Are you more like Linda, Susan, Mike, or Robert?